Hello there. Welcome to Breakfast All Day. How's it going? I am Christy. That is Matt. That's Alonso. Next up for us is a delightful little horror movie called Jacob's Wife, and Alonso will tell you about it.
So yeah, this is from director and co-writer Travis Stevens. It stars cult legend Barbara Crampton as Anne, aka Jacob's wife. She's married to Jacob, played by Larry Fessenden. He is a pastor in a small town church, and she has sort of relegated herself into being the pastor's wife in the many meanings of that phrase. It's a small town, a fairly small congregation. There's a mill in town that is about to be developed, and her old high school boyfriend comes to town to work on that. The two of them are alone and maybe get close to the possibility of cheating, and then he is devoured by rats. Turns out there's a bit of a rat/vampire problem in town, and soon Anne is part of that problem and has to sort of figure out a way how to combat it and whether to combat it, because vampire Anne turns out to be a lot more alive than pastor's wife, Jacob's wife, Anne ever was. This is a vividly gory horror movie that is not afraid to be funny sometimes, or that doesn't undercut that it's scary. And it's a cool little character piece with Crampton and Fessenden, who know how to make this movie, and they make it quite well.
This is how Jacob's wife got her groove back.
Pretty much.
It's so fun, you guys. And just for the very premise of Barbara Crampton and Larry Fessenden being married to each other is a great idea. For those of you who maybe are not so well versed, so Barbara Crampton is like legendary B-movie scream queen. It was
going back
animator.
To the Stuart Gordon From Beyond.
Yeah, she's in some soap operas, and Larry Fessenden is like longtime indie filmmaker, horror filmmaker, also does some acting. So just like the idea of the two of them, like it already gives you like sort of a buzz of a weird vibe, just seeing them together, and also playing these very demure characters at first is kind of funny. But this is like a feminist battle cry. This movie is all about like not letting anybody else define you. It's about discovering in middle age who you truly are and not being afraid anymore to seize your true identity, your true desires. I love the physical transformation that she undergoes in terms of like the clothes and the hair, and she's so beautiful. She's like 60. She's still so beautiful, and has such presence about her, even in the most like quiet moments. And I dug this. And then Bonnie Aarons, who was the nun in The Nun, has a key role here, and it's funny. Yeah, it's that tricky line of being funny, scary, but not like spoofy. In scary movie terms, right? It's not like a parody. It's like it's so intentionally over the top in its gore that you cannot help but laugh out loud. Like I was cackling with glee at some of the kills here.
Yeah, it goes like past gross, just like, okay.
It's so silly.
We're doing that, but exactly. And I think it is a tricky balance where like if it's too wacky, then it undercuts the scary parts. But this is sort of funny in the commitment to the bit, I think, that the film does as far as dealing with the more horrific aspects of it. And it is absolutely about this character kind of weirdly blossoming in a way and sort of reclaiming herself and her identity when she spent so long sort of just kind of being, in her husband's, literal shadow. The moments where you see Larry Fessenden's character, the way that his wife sees him, with the sound of the snoring or the close-ups of his mouth when he's like brushing his teeth or eating a steak, and it's just like you could just tell how annoyed she is with him.
Right, you hate every little thing about somebody, but also I love that like you root for her to be the vampire. You want her to be the vampire. And you don't want her to like become human and saved and okay again. Like she's her true happier self this way.
Yeah, you want her to find that middle ground where like she doesn't have to go back to being what she was before. And if being this new version of herself also means being undead, well, okay, we can work with that.
Sorry for the distracting action with Sabrina.
No.
So I don't know if I've said it on the show, she's had problems with her back legs and doesn't walk very well. So she needs help walking around, and I don't want her walking around too much, but if I tilt down, you can see little
She's
Sabrina.
Cozy in the shade.
Yes. But yeah, I don't want her jumping in the pool either because she doesn't swim so well. All right. I liked this movie a lot too. I mean, it's goofy, but it's also, it does thread that needle to find like it's having fun with what it's doing, but it really is this look at like a long-term marriage. And I had the luxury of interviewing Fessenden and Crampton, and they both talked about one of the things that really attracted them was that to this movie was that it dealt with this long-term marriage, and they both have been married for a long time to their respective partners. This is a hoot. And it's easy to look at this and say like, oh, this is just a cheap throwaway horror movie, but it is nice to see both of these actors get something that they can kind of, pardon the pun, sink their teeth into. You know, because there's a little bit, I was like, oh yeah, I could see where some people compare it a little bit to Santa Clarita Diet. Right, in a couple of places. But yeah, it's super fun. And I think the final shot, that final frame of the movie is just perfect. So perfect.
I feel like it takes place now, but there is a very retro vibe to the camera work and to the freeze frame of that last shot for sure. It feels like it's sort of in a hazy kind of yesteryear of horror films from like the mid 70s, early 80s kind of.
And when we talk about Honeydew does some of that as well. I thought this was fun, and I would watch a sequel to this.
It actually kind of reminded me of not just 70s horror, but sort of 70s made for TV horror at certain points. There's a certain sort of stripped down aspect where it's like, all right, we have this really desolate, like location. Let's get the most out of it. I think this was shot in Mississippi. I think I saw that in the closing credits, but yeah, it does everything that it sets out to do, within its means. Stevens has directed one other feature film called Girl on the Third Floor that I have not seen. But yeah, both he and Fessenden, weirdly enough, have these connections to Kelly Reichardt. Fessenden's actually been in several of her films, and then Stevens. I'm not sure what it's. I keep seeing like Wendy and Lucy on his IMDb page, but I'm not sure what his connection to it was. But anyway, they're both part of the grand Kelly Reichardt cinematic universe. So go figure.
Matt, were they fun to talk to? How was your interview?
They were great to talk to. They really were. And Crampton produced this. Like this.
Oh, cool. This
script got in front of her, and she had talked about how she had been working to get this made for a few years, and she helped with the casting, and like Bonnie Aarons came in when I talked to Bonnie Aarons, she's like, yeah, when Barbara Crampton calls you up and asks you to be in your horror movie, you say yes. And so for those people that know these actors and their pedigree, it is kind of this, it's like watching, it's like a super group, right? It's like, I would love to watch these musicians get together. So yeah,
it's like putting Christopher Lee and Vincent Price and Boris Karloff and Peter Lorre in the same movie or whatever. Yeah.
Cute. So I'm saying 7.8.
7.2.
Okay.
7.5.
All right. Our number is 7.5. And where is Jacob's Wife? Where is it streaming?
On Shudder, I believe.
Okay.
And some theatrical actually. Like if it's at the NoHo 7.
Oh.
But yeah, I think it might also be on Shudder. So yeah, it's out there, and I'm so not a horror guy. So when I give these movies a good review, that it's winning over the uninitiated because I'm a chicken. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and do check out our Patreon at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We are getting ready to wind up Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Only one left, but we've been reviewing every episode of that as it's been coming through on Disney Plus. And this month we had our subscribers choose a classic that we hadn't seen for us to watch. The options were all Best Picture winners, and so we're going to be talking about Elia Kazan's late 40s Gentleman's Agreement. So lots of fun stuff on our Patreon exclusively for our subscribers. We hope you'll check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.